Hello, welcome back to Mining Now. We've got another episode for you filmed from PDAC in Toronto, and we've got a fourth-time company on the show, but first-time guest. We've got JT Clark. He is the CEO at Veracio. We have done some quite technical conversations about Veracio. Those will be linked. If you're watching this video, go into the description. Those videos will be linked, and there's some great information. Some of the most fun I've had doing interviews, just walking through some of their technology. But now we get to zoom out a little bit with their CEO, JT. JT, welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Thanks very much for having me.
Have you done a lot of these long form interviews? Have you been roped in a few times already?
I've been pulled in. That doesn't make it any less uncomfortable.
Well,
but it is nice to be doing it here on the floor at PDAC because you have a whole, audience that's not paying attention really to what's going on here, but walking around and the activity, the atmosphere is fantastic.
Yeah. A little while ago, a company got me they flipped the tables. They wanted to interview me. And it made me surprised how many people are willing to actually be interviewed, because it is a very strange thing to just have someone go, okay, I'm going to ask you questions for 35 minutes straight.
Yeah.
But here we are. We've got lots. I'm trying to kind of decide how to start off. I think I'd like to just know sort of your background in the industry, because we've talked about Veracio. We're going to talk about them more today. But just sort of what's your backstory within the mining industry?
Yeah, great question. Look, I've had the privilege to be in natural resources and mining for effectively my whole career. Prior to this role, I actually spent the last 15 years with a firm called BCG, where I focused on mining, led the mining practice globally, but really had a particular emphasis on the deployment of AI and technology, and really focused on the deployment of AI in mineral processing. That's really where I learned to appreciate the importance of understanding the ore body and how much that can impact what we're able to achieve.
Well, in that case, then let's talk about what was AI. How was the conversation around AI 5 years ago as compared to now? What's the difference when you hear the around the cooler conversation about it?
It's look, we've been thinking about AI as an important lever for value for mining companies, and the role of AI and technology in improving our ability to deliver the minerals the world needs to move forward. It's been a conversation for years. I'd say it increasingly has become a reality. But nonetheless, there's still a conversation around the hurdles and obstacles that we have as an industry in driving AI adoption and ultimately driving value from AI solutions in mining.
Let's talk about our heavy industry world tour, brought to you by Savannah Equipment, supplying mining equipment worldwide, and Corporate Traveler Canada, helping companies travel the globe simpler, faster, easier. We are heading to events across North America and Australia and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsman.com to be part of Crownsman's Heavy Industry World Tour. The mining industry is navigating a significant transformation driven by electrification, critical mineral dependency, and net zero targets. But balancing daily operations and capital projects can be overwhelming. Burns & McDonnell is your trusted EPC partner, supporting projects from concept to completion. With more than 125 years of experience, they stand ready to help the mining industry meet the demands of the energy transition. Visit burnsmcd.com to learn more. If you're treating refractory gold or complex ores, then you need How to Leach Difficulty or Varying Feeds and Recover More. It's packed with cases and papers on Albion Process leaching technology. But it also has the world's first online calculator. It's free, and you'll learn what CapEx and OpEx you'll need for Albion Process to treat your feed. You need Albion Process to liberate your refractory locked gold. To get your pack and use the free calculator, click the link in the description below.
What do you think is, when you're talking, like you're at PDAC right now, and of course I'm sure you're always talking to people outside an event like this. Where are people at now, though? Are they excited about it? Are they apprehensive? Is there a lot of education happening around it? Is there a lot more that needs to be before people are fully on board? Maybe even at the executive level of the operators. Just sort of, what's your sense of where it's at?
Yeah, look, um, I'd say there's a lot of excitement around the potential, and over the last 5 years, we've come to better understand the 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 raw power and potential that data can have, and the associated AI solutions can have for our industry, with I think an appropriate level of, if not the best word, maybe skepticism, right? A willingness to try, but a need to see that proven before there's a full buy-in on the solutions that are being delivered. And look, I think to a certain extent, AI gets used as and I probably do it myself, gets used as a de facto buzzword, and it gets
Yeah.
thrown around so much right now. It's hard to distinguish what's really advanced analytical support, and where might there be more noise than signal.
And that you're touching on something that I've actually been doing these interviews. Yeah, everybody's talking about AI, and it it gets almost muddled into. So now it's even for me, I'm having trouble distinguishing. Are we actually talking about AI, or is this just displaying a data point? Like I'm starting to like trying to have trouble distinguish between the two, but they are kind of connected as well. Um, how do you distinguish sort of analytics and what we've already been doing? Where is AI different, especially for
Yeah,
specifically for mining?
that's great. So I think to properly answer that question, I think I'd actually go back to the question you didn't ask but gets asked a lot, which is there's a bit of an undercurrent of why has mining not been faster to adopt AI? Why has it not had a bigger impact? And why is mining still reliant on legacy techniques and approaches, and hasn't swung full circle over to advanced solutions, whether we want to call that AI or ML, with a degree of comparison to other industries, comparisons to, you know, financial services or to consumer products. And so if I can for a moment, and I might get on a soapbox here, talk a little bit about what makes us different, and then how we need to apply that AI. When you look at other industries, they they have the benefit of, if somebody's building a personalization application that's going to tailor some messages to me, they have the benefit of refreshing their data set about me, given my activity on social media, probably monthly. Globally, we look at refreshing these data sets nearly constantly, weekly, monthly. If you're using data that's a year old, you're probably stale on the current trends and the current needs of the consumer. And then you juxtapose that and say, well, how often do we refresh our mining data set?
Mm.
Every 20 years, maybe. And so really what's going on is we're actually not comparing apples for apples. We're working with different underlying data sets. So I would call what we've traditionally produced in mining is really a human-centric data set. At its most simple, if you even think of something about geochemistry, the periodic table of elements is fundamentally a human construct that we use to understand behaviors and characteristics. And what we do in mining is we take advanced analytics and we stick it on top of that human-centric data. And unsurprisingly, because you're looking at data through a human filter, that AI runs into basically a ceiling or a limit on its potential. What's really going on now, and if you were to really get excited about advanced analytics, the AI and the future potential, is because we're now building data sets that are AI-centric. And in today's world, we satisfy the human-centric needs while building AI-centric data sets that will take full advantage of AI's computational power and advanced analytics techniques, with a data set that's really built to be able to leverage and use those.
L&H Industrial can custom engineer and build from the ground up any heavy equipment assembly or machine that you need for your operation. Their worldwide 24/7 field services network is on the job whenever you need heavy equipment troubleshooting, repairs, rebuilds, relocations, or replacements. And thanks to their specialized design and engineering and state-of-the-art manufacturing and repair services, they are a go-to international supplier for improved components and custom assemblies for heavy industrial machinery. Visit lnh.net to learn more. MineTech helps mine sites like yours improve their safety, profitability, and compliance with world-class sound attenuation, water management, underground ventilation, and electrical solutions, enabling their customers to make and save millions of dollars through increased production, limited downtime, automation, and reduced energy consumption. Relied upon by more than 3,200 sites across 25 countries, their global team is standing by to offer end-to-end support and custom solutions for noisy mining machinery, toxic mine water of all qualities, metalliferous underground ventilation, and evolving electrical needs. Learn what MineTech could do for your site. Visit minetech.com/innovation. With Fender Dunlop, you know you are getting the best conveyor belting in the market. That's because they ensure the integrity of their conveyor belting by monitoring each step of the manufacturing process in their North American facilities. Focused attention is given to each belting order to guarantee that they produce a belt that will assist the customer in reducing operation costs, maximizing uptime, and improving revenue. Visit FenderDunlopAmericas.com to learn more.
How much different if you're looking at the same data set and you're looking at it through basically the human filter, or as opposed to the AI? How differently is the result going to be, specific in mining?
Yeah,
I know that's a very
it's not
big
about a
question.
difference in result, right? Because it all comes from the same underlying data, right? If the data here is, let's say, the characteristics of the ore body, and then we've distilled that ourselves into geochemistry, we actually lose some fidelity when we distill that for humans. Even we have the good pleasure to work around really smart people, but we run into the need to simplify that for our capacity to digest. The AI data sets can keep all of that signal and be able to then infer additional characteristics.
Right. So it's not so much that it's different; it's almost just more rounded out. It's got all the meat in it. It's not having to sort of shave down this and this for just our consumption in a way.
Exactly. And then because you have these AI solutions that have the computational horsepower to actually digest all that richness and not have to filter it out, we're able to be more powerful in our application set through the value chain.
Now, you take a company like Veracio. They're coming into the market. How long has Veracio been commercially on the market?
So Veracio, we have been on the market for just a little over a year. In fact, last week we celebrated our first birthday. However, the precursor to Veracio, which was a division in Bort Longyear, has been around for over a decade.
Oh, is it? You know what? I probably knew that. I didn't realize. I forgot that it was over a decade. So that's actually quite a long time. And it was operating. So you've got 11 years. So it's quite a bit. As the brand, now those 10 years though, was that operating just within Bort Longyear's internal projects, or is that being offered to clientele as well?
No, that was being offered to clients broadly and outside Bort Longyear.
Okay.
Really, what changed is, those first 10 years, there was a lot of hard yards and a lot of learning and failing and improving and learning and failing and moving through that cycle. Really, what transpired a little over a year ago is we recognized that these solutions had matured. Or we even call this really the formation of Veracio was the graduation from a division of Bort Longyear to really its own mature business.
So when I did the first episode at iMark with you, not with you, but at just Veracio, it was the busiest booth that we'd had. One other time in South Africa we had a booth, but people weren't actually stopping; they were just walking through it. So that was probably the busiest, but that was kind of a disaster. But in your booth in iMark, people kept coming in to want to talk. It was the busiest booth I've seen while trying to film an episode. People were excited; they wanted to talk. What is it about Veracio that they're offering the industry that is creating that just that excitement? Because I mean, people. I'm not just saying it to promote you. I just saw it on camera. I was there. And we had to keep trying to move people out, and it kind of turned into a fun thing. But there is a lot of excitement around it. What is driving that, would you say?
We are fortunate in mining to be surrounded by passionate individuals that are looking constantly to improve and drive forward. The excitement that we're seeing is we're now bringing the next generation of toolkit and capabilities, and people can see the future and how that's going to positively impact how they execute their work, how they support their clients, how they support their assets, and how we collectively move the world forward. So it's more than just new. It's more than shiny object. It's an appreciation of the fundamental step forward that we're making and the role that that can play. And if I can carry the question a half step forward, where we see that really mature is in the people who move beyond the conversation and really engage, really dive into the data and the tools and the solutions with us and co-develop and partner to build really the answer they want and the toolkit they want. That the combination of our technology, their passion, capability, and understanding of their asset really gets people excited and moves them and us forward together.
JT, there's something that kind of has come to my mind over just lately, because there's so much technology. There's so many technology interviews that we're doing, and I'm curious, to put yourself in the shoes of an operator, who your client base is. What do you think the biggest challenge is for them with everything, all this new technology coming at them with AI, with so much new value sort of just pouring into the industry? What do you think the biggest challenge is for them when trying to adopt it, streamline it, integrate it, get their team on board? Where do you think the biggest sort of bottleneck is?
Yeah, look. Mine operators, mining companies have a tremendous challenge in front of them. One I'm pretty empathetic to. They have two choices, right? Like they're false choices. There's a middle ground here. Well, maybe we'll get to it. But one choice is I have to shrink the world and I got to pick a winning technology, right? Because a lot of people are claiming to get to the same things. I gotta pick which technology is going to win and then back that into my organization. Or I have to figure out how do I integrate all of these technologies together, which itself is a difficult task. So I don't have to pick a technology. I just have to prepare the platform and the environment for everybody. And that's hard to do. So you end up in if you see the world in a binary way, you end up with these really kind of two ends of a bad decision, right? The way we think about it, and candidly, to a certain degree, we find ourselves in a similar position because with all the technologies that are coming out, we have a fundamental belief that, we have technologies, we have sensory capabilities, we have AI. We don't believe that there is any one killer sensor, right? There's nothing that is the answer for everything. So in what we do, we have to be prepared to see what's maturing, and when it's at the right time, engage it, invest in it, integrate it into our systems so that we're providing a wide range of pragmatic, functional solutions to our client. So really the challenge here is for the operator, how do you pick a winner if the operator puts themselves in that position? The alternative is, how do I pick the right partner that can help me filter, that can help me understand when a technology is at maturity? There's a lot of potential out there that's just not yet ready today. How do I know when to bring it in, integrate it? To be both a mining operator and a technology company, which is what, if you go the platform route you're trying to do, that's a really tall ask.
I just want to take a step back here. not to go into the weeds too much on the technology, but I just want to touch on what Veracio is actually offering the industry. For anybody who hasn't watched it, I want you can you just walk us through the key components that are making it sort of and I know it's sort of combining technologies, and that's sort of what makes it a game changer. But can you just sort of walk us through what the offering is, just for anybody who hasn't seen the other episodes?
Absolutely. I'll try and do that without consuming an entire episode here, just on that one question. Look, fundamentally, the way to think about Veracio is the integration of data sets, unique, high-quality data sets with high accuracy, high granularity, that are coupled with AI solutions that take that data into a usable answer, or a usable solution for the client. To do a half click more into that, if I can, when we think about our data capture, we think about capturing information about the ore body from the samples, the core samples, the chip samples, and using our TrueScan platform, which we see as a multi-sensor platform, to be able to interrogate those samples and capture as much data, as well as an in situ platform that allows us to send sensors down the hole, if you will, and to interrogate the ore body from the in situ environment, capture as much data as possible, but importantly, bring those back to the client co-registered so that they don't have a disparate wide range of data sets, but they actually have a consolidated data set from which we can build AI, they can build AI, but a platform that is ready for them to use productively.
What was the biggest challenge in getting a product like that to market? Again, we're going to have links to the episodes so sort of people can dive into that. But what was the biggest challenges from an executive standpoint, or what's the not the development? We've covered that, but the getting it to market now. Where is your big challenge? Where is your big focus? Because I'm assuming you're doing it at a global scale. I mean, we've already done episodes with you in Australia, and you're obviously pushing into the global market. But where will those bottlenecks be for you as you expand?
Yeah, look, I think it comes down to a task of prioritization. As you said, there's so many new technologies coming in the market. How are we prioritizing which ones we're carrying forward and which ones we're emphasizing to our clients? As well as there's a very important story here around adoption. I think there's a common refrain right now from me, which is with these cutting edge technologies, this is not a question of competition. This is not competing for market share. We're competing for adoption. And the hardest part of deploying new technologies is really, and where the big lift is, the collaborative effort with our clients to enable them to adopt, because it's not enough to bring a technology. You have to update and adjust workflows. You have to engage people, develop buy-in, help the teams understand how and what to change to create the most value out of these new solutions. And that at a certain level, the technology itself, once you've solved it, that's actually the easy part. It is all of the work that goes around getting those technologies to be used that is a big lift. And I see that as probably, I don't know if bottleneck's the right word, but maybe the next biggest hurdle for these maturing technologies.
I have to ask you about finding the right people. Well, we were having a little bit of an issue with your screen behind you, so while it was off screen, I saw Mike Ravello was coming in, and he did the show. I believe he did the one in IMARC. Great interview, very passionate guy. Everybody kept disrupting him while he was trying to do the interview, as I referenced earlier. What does it look like in today's market trying to find good people? Because it is, I mean, we have a tough time with it in our industry. We have sort of that production world. But mining, everybody talks about how tough it is. How do you build out a team now to really take it to where because one bad apple, it's unbelievable how disruptive that can be. So how do you build out a team that is that they're market ready with a product that, again, I'm asking this in the context around a product that Veracio has so much interest in it. People want to talk to you, so you have to have a team ready to go.
It is a great question. It's a tough talent market out there. We really look for two criteria in particular. It's a mix of passion and capability. Um, there's a lot of passion around what we're doing, right? For all the reasons you said, the number of people that come, and if you were to walk on PDAC, you can't find Mike quiet for a moment, but candidly, that goes for our entire team, and so there's so much passion. We were also fortunate to be at a point in this industry where, I think there's a bit of some consolidation of talent and capability around the go forward concepts that are really going to coalesce and make a mark. And so I think we've seen two things. We've been able to engage talent with the compelling vision and direction we have, and they see a winning path forward. And for us, that's been able to attract the right talent to us.
Right.
And we feel very fortunate. And I have to pause and comment here. I am surrounded by the most incredible team that has capabilities beyond what I could think even possible. We're very fortunate, and it really, that builds on itself. People want to be part of this team because what we can go achieve collectively together, and they want to come and bring what they have to help deliver that. I would be remiss if I also here didn't mention the integration of Minalize into the Veracio business late last year.
Yeah.
I know to the market, and broadly, we have to call it an acquisition. And by a technical account, indeed, that's what it was. Very practically, though, these were two teams that came together because they recognized there was a complementary capability and technology that fit together and was more powerful together. In fact, when we talked about this, we referred to it as better together, because we knew that collectively we could advance this agenda of bringing new technology better than either of us could alone. And it's that vision and that collective passion that really draws other people in.
You touched on something, and I want to kind of circle back for it, that consolidation. Are we at what stage with your crystal ball? What stage are we in the technology development within mining? Are we at the beginning of the story? Are we in the middle? Are we at a point where it's sort of the second half where these sort of tested and good technologies are now sort of starting to come into become standards in the industry, and that's what you're sort of saying like people will start to sort of flock to these technologies? Are we sort of at that stage yet, or is that a ways out yet?
No, I think we're in the second quarter. So I think the way I would think about it, first quarter is very much around figuring out what it takes to succeed. You have that feeling out of yourself, your own capabilities, of your clients, what they need, of I won't even say competitors, of other market participants and what they're delivering. And there's that feeling out stage. We're in the second quarter where we're starting to understand how the game works. We're starting to put together sequences and plays and collaborations that make sense. Earlier this week, we announced a collaboration with Tribe Tech, to help. They have a wonderful sampling technology that pairs nicely with our sample interrogation or our sensory platform. You see things like that now starting to come together. But it's not, what do I expect if I were to cast forward? Where's my crystal ball? At some point, this will be large companies acquiring technologies when they're fully mature and more broadly developed. We're clearly not there yet either. So best I can tell, second quarter, a lot of game left to be played.
Do you think operators are starting to have a pretty good sense of what is available, though? Like when Veracio shows up at the door and says, "Hey, we've got this, or we've got this offering," are they quick to understand? Okay, this is where this can plug in. Are we at that stage yet?
No, the key word, the operable word, there's quick, right? Like I think there's an understanding of what's at stake, how things might fit together, but we're still short of really being able to have enough of the road paved that that's a quick and easy integration. There's still a significant lift. And you think about a technology adoption curve, right? It kind of starts out slow and then gets really steep really quickly. Um, on that front end of that curve, there's a lot of work by the technology company, but a lot of work by the adopter as well. And we're still in that space where it takes some effort. Now, we've paved the path. I'd say the first use cases are most well known. They're easiest to deploy. We have a pretty good playbook that we can use to deploy that. But the challenge is there's so much more potential that's really where the lift becomes. What else can we do that we haven't envisioned yet?
How did you decide to go into the industry? Like, what was sort of the and I mean, like, start of your career, sort of what, did you have a family that came out of mining? Was there anything like that, or did you just sort of end up in it? What's your story there?
Now the question is, how candid do I have to be on camera? So hopefully this will be a enjoyable story as I reflect back on it. I came out of a family business that did real estate development. It wasn't my personal passion. I went to business school, said, what do I do next? And I found myself in consulting. I said, JT, what type of work would you like to do? My first answer was actually anything but natural resources. Almost verbatim. And as with any entry, I was an intern at the time, and they clearly deeply considered what the intern wanted, and then promptly staffed me on a natural resources project.
Right. This is I'm glad you're bringing this up. This is great.
So I turns out I had completely misunderstood what it meant to be in natural resources, what it meant to be in mining. I got a summer internship through it, and I was hooked. Through the early part of my career, there was still a bit of a random walk. You work in a variety of industries, but the allure of natural resources, the allure of big assets, of challenging locations, difficult problems, and what we were trying to solve, I was too strong, and it kept pulling me back. And that's ultimately where I steered my own career after that first internship.
You're touching on something that I've tried to say on the show, but I don't really have an example. So now you're my new poster boy for this. I think one of the biggest, and I grew up in a fairly rural environment where, people's parents worked for mining and all that sort of thing. It was never even discussed in the school. It was never even discussed. It wasn't brought up. There was no class on it. There was no trip out to a mining site. There was nothing in a mining town. It was crazy. Looking back on it, I didn't even understand the concept of a job of driving a haul truck. And my family was in selling mining equipment. Like, it was just, I guess that's not true. I understood it, but it was not an environment. And people love things. Like, they've done actual studies, especially men. If you take a study on men, they love things. And it's not even put in front of them. Like, there's this misunderstanding, and I've talked about this on the show, that there's a misunderstanding of mining. If you see construction, let's say, you see it because I'm here in Vancouver, you just see it everywhere. You just learn about it just by seeing it right in front of you. Bridges and skyscrapers, and just it goes on and on. How do you think mining and the natural resources sector could just do a better job of just getting it in front of not 25-year-olds, but 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, because they would be interested. They just don't see it. That's my little soapbox. I've been going off on it lately. So I'm just curious your thoughts on it.
Look, I think you're exactly right. I think we undersell what we do, and we find it once you get into it, it is so obvious. We all get so passionate that you struggle to remember to sell it, because shouldn't it be so apparent to everybody else how amazing this is and how fortunate we are to be in it? And then I remember working through this, and I'm going to call out my son here, so hopefully I might be in trouble later. But my son, who's now going to Colorado School of Mines, for which I'm very proud father. If I rewind a few years, he saw me as part of the evil empire, right? And that was the perspective. Even getting past the awesomeness of big trucks and explosives, There was still a fundamental question around the industry and why we have that industry. I would push, and maybe this is a little bit more at the the mid-20s area, but as in my consulting role, as we're basically doing these projects, there was a bit of a free market for the teams to be able to decide what work they wanted to do. And we had to really go out and pitch to our teams, hey, you should come work on this project. It took some discussions for them to understand not only the interesting challenges that we get to solve, but really coupled with a bit of the, and maybe this is too grandiose, but a bit of the moral imperative and urgency that we feel to achieve. That it's for maybe us in mining, there's a common refrain that, yes, we all are on board and we need electrification. We also recognize we're fundamentally short copper. And we're not solving that. These are big challenges that we have to go solve. So when I talk about the passion of our team and who comes in and works with us, it's not all mining technology experienced people. It's those who have a passion to move the world forward, see technology as a vehicle to achieve that, and see that mining is actually a space where they can make a difference. And when you stick those together, that is the powerful unlock that unlocks that passion and really drives the teams forward.
Yeah. I want to make a clarification when I said about the men being interested in things. I should clarify. That is in reference to that it's the context of that is that when the mining industry only talks about technology and not the things that they're doing, there's studies that back up that people do like things. They like the haul trucks, they like the shovels, they like the drills, like they actually like them. And it's almost sometimes like the industry, they just make everything look digital. And it's like, you don't have to do that. You can make it look both, because that's what's beautiful about mining, is that it's both worlds coming together.
You're exactly right. I think, look, it's one thing for me to passionately sit on camera and talk about what we do. We bring a true scan out to a trade show. You got everybody nosing around, seeing how it works. Yeah. And that's when it all starts to click. And there is something about a tangible capability that translates it from this amorphous technology solution that's going to solve my problems into, something about having a bit of steel in front of you that you can touch and feel 100%. And understand how it's going to work.
Yep, absolutely. What is sort of the next, just to wrap up the interview, what is it? What does the next year look like for you? Just sort of short-term wins that you want to see from Veracio.
Yeah, look, we have a wonderful and busy agenda in front of us, and there's a few things. We have some technology advancements that we've had pushing forward that have sat in our R&D for 4 to 5 years that are really starting to come fruition that will help us take that next step. But it's not just about technology evolution. The most important part of our agenda is our work with clients, and we continue to expand and grow, and that's really about bringing in, onboarding the team and onboarding the clients and developing those important relationships that allow us to move forward. And then I would couple that with a third one, with expanding our partnerships and alliances. We work closely with partners. We know that we aren't going to solve our challenges ourselves, but really it's about how can we integrate with others that we work next to, work alongside, to join together and ultimately deliver value for clients. And whether that's enabling new geographic footprints or whether that's enabling new joint capabilities, those are, I think, the three things that we need to achieve this year.
JT, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know we had a little bit of a delay, so we had some technical issues, so thank you for bearing with us. I hope we get to do this again. Every episode with Veracio has been very different, kind of a completely different feel, different guests. And it sounded nice because a lot of times we'll start with the CEO, but you've kind of coming in at the end to sort of tie it all together. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we do it again, maybe in person next time when we're both at an event. But it was just great to have you on the show. I really do appreciate it.
This has been a ton of fun. Look, we're passionate about this. I nothing makes me more happy than to really be able to talk about and share what we're doing, because so passionate about making this transition from just some ideas and concepts to a reality that can move us forward. So appreciate the time that you've given us today, and I do look forward to seeing you in person at one of the many events we all attend.
Absolutely. Okay. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, there'll be links to the other Verasio episodes in the description. Thank you for watching this one. Please keep suggesting guests and connecting us with industry, because it doesn't matter how many episodes we do. There's just 10 more companies that I've never heard of, or a new technology, or maybe a company that I've known of for years, but now they've got something new coming on the line. So thank you, everybody, for all the support. We will see you on the next episode of Mining Now.